They met this morning, every senior war official America has. And while they were still inside that room, Iran's foreign minister walked in front of a camera and said 4 words that should have stopped the world. We already won. If you follow this war daily, hit subscribe right now, because what happens in the next 72 hours will either restart the bombing, put American boots on Iranian soil, or quietly bury a nuclear deadlock that no one in Washington knows how to solve. Stay with me. Today is Saturday, May 17th, 2026, day 78 of the Iran war. And this morning, the most consequential war meeting since the ceasefire was announced on April 8th is happening inside the White House. Vice President JD Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, White House envoy Steve Witkoff, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, every principal, every decision maker in one room, answering one question that 78 days of war, 11,000 airstrikes, 13 American deaths, and $29 billion have failed to answer. What does America do next? Drop a comment right now, just the number 1, 2, or 3, for which option you think they'll choose. We read every single one. Because here's what makes this meeting different from every briefing and phone call and summit before it. 3 military options are sitting on the table, and each one is more dangerous than anything America has attempted in the 38 days since the ceasefire began. Option 1. Deploy special operations commandos into Iran to physically retrieve enriched uranium. Option 2, seize Kharg Island, the facility that processes 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Option 3, resume bombing and strike the 25% of identified military targets that American jets have not yet hit. 3 options. 3 completely different theories of how this war ends. And here is the thing that the White House principals are staring at right now that almost no one in the mainstream press has said clearly. The nuclear material that America went to war to remove, the enriched uranium that could build a bomb, is not sitting in a secured Iranian facility with a documented location. It is buried underneath rubble, left behind by American bombs dropped almost a year ago in June 2025. The objective that launched this war is physically inaccessible under the debris of buildings that the United States itself destroyed. Think about what that means for a moment. Because the commando option, which sounds surgical and decisive on paper, requires American Special Operations Forces to enter Iranian territory, locate uranium buried under bombed-out rubble, fight through IRGC resistance, extract radioactive material safely enough not to trigger a nuclear incident, and then get out. Israeli officials have confirmed that Trump is hesitant. The hesitation is not weakness. It is the operational reality of a mission whose target no longer has a confirmed address. The Kharg Island option carries a different kind of weight. Senator Lindsey Graham called it the key to the entire war. A senior White House official described seizure of the island as an economic knockout of the regime, one that would totally bankrupt the IRGC and potentially end the war within weeks. Kharg Island sits 15 miles off the Iranian coast. American jets have already struck it multiple times as a preparatory measure. But seizing it, actually taking and holding it, requires a significant number of ground troops. And the moment American boots touch Iranian soil, this war crosses a threshold that no ceasefire declaration, no Pakistani mediation, no Chinese diplomatic channel can walk back. Every American position across the Middle East changes the second that happens. The third option, resuming the bombing campaign against the remaining 25% of identified targets, is the least escalatory of the 3. It does not require commandos. It does not require ground troops. It extends what has already been happening rather than opening a new operational category. But here is the problem that no one inside that meeting can reason their way around. Bombing 75% of the target list produced a nuclear deadlock. Bombing the remaining 25% of the same list produces more of the same campaign that produced the same deadlock. The enriched uranium stays buried. The foreign minister keeps declaring victory on Telegram, and the war continues without a resolution. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi did not make his victory declaration in ignorance of what was happening in Washington this morning. Through Pakistani mediators, Chinese intelligence sharing, and Russian briefings, Iran knows the three options on the table. His statement that Iran imposed its will, that Iran must now be viewed as a power capable of confronting the world's greatest powers, was issued on the morning of this meeting deliberately. Iran is telling the American principals directly, whatever you decide in that room today, the outcome has already been established. 78 days of the world's most powerful military could not achieve its objectives. The victor has been determined. Today's meeting is the loser's deliberation. The nuclear deadlock that Araghchi announced publicly yesterday is the precise reason today's meeting exists. His exact words were that the two sides are almost in a deadlock on the question of enriched uranium, and that the issue must be postponed to later stages of negotiations. Almost in a deadlock. Postpone to later stages. The issue that two diplomatic tracks, one 14-point proposal, one single-page framework, the Beijing summit, and 3 weeks of Pakistani mediation could not resolve, is the same issue the commando option is designed to solve through direct military force. If the uranium cannot be negotiated away, send soldiers to physically take it. That is the operational logic. That is what the principals are debating right now. And Iran's simultaneous message is, we cannot trust the Americans at all. The IRGC conducted combat readiness exercises this week. The supreme leader is personally directing negotiations from an undisclosed location. The parliament passed a Hormuz fee law. Iranian forces have attacked American positions more than 10 times during the ceasefire. The military infrastructure that the bombing campaign damaged is being actively reconstituted. Iran is not behaving like a country that lost. Iran is behaving like a country that is waiting. Now, here is the part that the principals in that room cannot separate from the military options, regardless of how much they want to. Gas prices are sitting at $4.52 nationally. California is above $6. The Brown University Cost Tracker shows $37 billion in household energy costs since the war began. The war itself has cost $29 billion, and analysts now project it heading toward $1 trillion. The House of Representatives tied on war authorization. The Senate rejected the War Powers Resolution. 32% of Americans approve of this war. 61% call it a mistake. The midterm elections are in November. Republicans hold the House by 4 seats. These numbers are not background noise. They are the walls of the room where the decision is being made. On May 15th, just 2 days ago, the New York Times reported that Israel and the United States are intensifying joint preparations for potential new strikes on Iran, with operations possibly beginning as soon as next week. Next week. The New York Times published that on Thursday. Next week started this morning. The principals meeting is happening right now. The timeline the newspaper of record described is the timeline inside which today's decision will be executed. Today's meeting will produce one of 3 outcomes: a decision to resume intensified bombing of the remaining target list, the most likely and least escalatory path; a decision to move toward Kharg Island operations after additional preparatory strikes, the option that could bankrupt the IRGC but requires ground troops and a new escalation threshold; or a diplomatic extension, another pause, another mediation round with Pakistan before the Hajj begins on May 25th, buying time that both sides have already used once without resolution. Rubio is understood to favor diplomacy. Hegseth favors military action. Vance has been the consistent diplomatic voice in the room. Ratcliffe and Kaine are delivering the intelligence. Trump will decide. Whatever comes out of that room today is the most consequential American military decision since April 8th. The ceasefire it may end has been attacked more than 10 times. The nuclear deadlock it was supposed to resolve has been publicly declared unsolvable by Iran's own foreign minister. The enriched uranium at the center of everything is under rubble. The domestic political cost is measured in gasoline prices and approval ratings and 4 House seats. And prediction markets currently give a 66% probability of no nuclear deal by June 30th. 3 questions that matter more than anything else right now. Which of the 3 options on today's table, commandos, Kharg Island, or resumed bombing, most directly addresses the specific failure that produced this meeting? Which option is compatible with 32% war approval and $4.52 gasoline heading into a midterm year? And if every available option either escalates into categories Trump is hesitant about or extends the campaign that already produced a deadlock, what is the decision that produces a different outcome before June 30th? Drop your answers below. We analyze the developments on this war every single day, and the best responses get featured. Share this before the outcome of today's meeting becomes public. Because once Trump decides, the window to understand what the options actually were closes fast. If this kind of daily, documented, ground-level war analysis is what you want, not noise, not spin, just verified facts structured clearly, then subscribe. The next update goes out the moment the principals meeting produces a result.